This conference will now be recorded.
Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of our Honorable Secretary General, Dr. G.P. Agarwal, I, Megha Chadda, heartily welcome Dr. Sanjeev Layak, Executive Secretary WASME, and Mr. Prabir Roy, Senior Advisor WASME, for accepting our invitation for the webinar. It's my privilege to welcome all the dignitaries who have taken out their valuable time to participate in this webinar. Let me brief about WASME, a global organization having member representatives in more than 100 countries, spearheading the cause and development and promotion of SMEs worldwide through policy advocacy, information dissemination, conferences, seminars, events, trainings, publication, network linkages, and many more since 1980. WASME has the consultative and observer status of United Nations. According to Article 112 of the Indian Constitution, the Union Budget of a year, also referred to as the annual financial statement, is a statement of the esteemed receipts and expenditure of the government for the particular year. This year also, Union Budget 2021-22 has been presented by our Honorable Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman. I'm not going in detail as we have esteemed panelists to discuss on the topic. Let me introduce Prabir Roy. Prabir Roy is a serial entrepreneur and now is co-founder Paymade, a B2B fintech payments company, and has visa at one its investors. He has worked in government, public, and MNC sector as VP, CTO, and CEO, and Red Herring Asia Top 100 awardees for promising tech startup companies. In addition, Prabir sits on boards of several private, public, and industry organizations like WASME. Let me introduce Dr. Sanjeev Layak, currently working as the Executive Secretary at WASME, looking after global operation, around 25 years of rich experience in strategy, research, consultancy projects, contributed 18 research papers and actively associated with 15 countries of Government of India. Harvard Business Review and ResearchGate, serving as board committee members of Symbiosis University, Noida, India, New Delhi, Mentorex, and IEF, recognized by UNESCO, Paris, France, Ministry of MSME, Government of India, SPGM Global Management School, Dubai, Tata Consultancy Services, Delhi University, Times Group, Economics Times, Bennett University, Greater Noida, and Mentorex, TIFLAS, Mumbai, Aztec India, NTPC, India, author of a book titled MSMEs, Crash or Opportunity in COVID-19, published by LAP, Publishing Europe. Handing over this floor to Dr. Sanjeev Layak, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Megha, for a wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear Mr. Roy. I'm just going to have the presentation on the Union Budget 2021-22. So I will just focusing on the highlights of this budget. Then we can have what are the budgets for this MSME sector and what would be the role of WASME in just empowering this MSME sector, because they are the backbone of our economy and they are just contributing 50% to the export and 70 to 80% of generating employment, and they are the 99% of the industry. So whenever we are just talking about the MSME, so 99%, and in 99%, 98% is micro, having turnover less than 5 crores. So in this union budget, what is the takeaway of for this MSME sector? So before giving the what are the benefits to this MSME sector, what are the takeaway, I'll be just focusing on the highlights of this budget. The union budget, which was presented by our honorable finance minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman, and the focus was on Atmanirbhar Bharat, local for vocal, and this was the growth of budget opportunity, tax simplification, generating employment, ease of doing business, and enhancing this FDI. This is very, very important. And when we were just talking about means Union Budget 2021-22, there were, I think, 6 pillars in this budget. It was health, physical infrastructure, inclusive development, aspirational India, human capital, innovation and research and development, and minimum government and maximum governance. And whenever we are talking about the health, the first pillar, and it was and during this COVID, you have already experienced, and you have been already experiencing this 1 year has already disrupted life as well as the business. And this was the most important, and we had already had the challenge of just combating this kind of pandemic. This is the global pandemic. India has already recovered as well as recovering. Most of the world already they are struggling. Britain, we are just talking about the European countries, America. Britain has already having a lockdown. Now India is doing well. Now, as I have already mentioned, this is a budget for Atmanirbhar Bharat and local for focal. So our focus is on the health, infrastructure, and all these things. And during this pandemic, we had the experience of PPE kit, whatever the mask, ventilator, and other equipment, and most of the lights already gone, and we have majority of the state governments. They were just struggling about the health and health facilities and all, and we are having the very poor health facility. Now the government has focused on the health, and they have allocated 2,23,000 crore for this health, and they have aspirational districts of 112 they have talked about, and they'll be just creating 17,000 wellness center and clean water, clean environment. Now this health center is very, very important for this MSME. So they can have a good opportunity in this health sector, and they have been already doing so many things. And our economy is just talking about the V-shaped economy, as economic surveys also mentioned. So this health sector is very, very important for the MSMEs to have the growth. Now, whenever we are just talking about the physical and financial infrastructure, in this capital expenditure, they have already talked about 5.54 lakh crore rupees, and this is very important. Production linked scheme. This will give the support to the manufacturing sector. This is the manufacturing sector, and they can manufacture the local products, and they can also have the global presence. So this will be the opportunity for the MSME, so they can avail this particular scheme, and in this 1.97 lakh crore already been allocated. And talking about the textile, government is focusing on the mega textile park to boost the textile so that they can compete with the Bangladesh and Vietnam. They are the major textile exporter countries. So again, they are just talking about the national infra pipeline, development, financial institution, asset monetization program, urban infra, like they're focusing on the metro, transport, infra, house scheme. So major focus, government major focus is on infrastructure. This is very health, infrastructure, innovation, research and development. So they are very important. And insurance sector has already been open to the private players and the foreign players. In fact, FDI has been already raised to 74%. Government is talking about fintech hub. Praveen is there. He will be just talking about this fintech what kind of benefit the MSME sector they can avail. And majority of the MSMEs, they are having means a great struggle or the challenge in the payment system. And this fintech will solve their or resolve their problem. As well as the government is talking about investment charter. Now, whenever we are talking about the infrastructure, the government has already talked about the startup, foreign investment and all, NRIs, IPO for means IPO, sorry, IPO for this LIC, and they are just talking about the disinvestment for CPU. So they can have the good amount of revenue, so they can give this to boosting the growth. That is very, very important. So whenever we are just talking about the innovation and the R&D, this is very, very important, because if you want to sustain in this business as well as in this COVID era, post-COVID, so you need to just sustain. So you need to have, or if you want to compete with other countries' products like Chinese, they have already penetrated our market. How to get rid of this Chinese product? This is very, very important. You need to have the innovation, and you have to put your effort on research and development. So economic survey has also mentioned that you cannot get it rid or compete with the Chinese companies with Jugaad. So this Jugaad technology will not help you in sustaining growth. So you have to have this research and development, and government is just focusing on this research and development and innovation, and they are just promoting this MSME so that they can have means good product, they can have the good market, they can compete with the global players. This is very, very important. Again, you can have the another development aspirational. This is very, very important. Agriculture sector, the government has already talked about the MSC and all. So Amit, I'm not going in details all these things. I'm just talking about the highlights of this budget and all. Credit to farmers, so they have already 16.5 lakh crore rupees they have already allocated in this. Again, the integration to this ENAM, that is the type of portal that digitally you have to. If you want to sustain in this market, you have to be digital. So government is ENAM marketplace is there. That is like a GEM, government electronic marketplace. Here ENAM, here all the mandis, excuse me, all the mandis are digitized so that you can showcase your product. Yesterday I was just going through one news that in Lucknow, Uddayans, they have already have the Mela, and these products, the Laghu and MSME products, they have been into this platform so that they can showcase their product to the world, and they can have a good market. This is a very important step by the government of India so that they can boost this MSME. Again, the government has put emphasis on the migrant laborers, because the MSME, they have been also struggling with the laborers and all, and unorganized labor. so that the gig economy means the unorganized means laborers like electrician or other skilled labor, they can also register on the portal and they can get benefited also. Government has already given 15,700 crore, and that was when last year when it was less when half of this. So this year they have already put double for this MSME sector. So whatever the schemes we have already talked about, they will support this amount will support in just boosting growth. So our government's focus is to make India one of the big hub for this manufacturing and all. So this MSME, 99% MSMEs, they can help or they can just support government in fulfilling this dream. This is very, very important. And also, India has already talked about, they have set target of 5 trillion economy. This will again have a good boost. Again, the human capital, as far as national education policy, government resources here, a very, very important part is that this national education policy, this is based on the skill-based education, and you have to have the skills so that you can perform. So the two words are very, very important. Either you perform or you perish. So this is very, very important. So this education policy is very, very important to support the skill education. And the government has already given emphasis on the academic, government, association, industry. So these are this integration. So the research and development they can do. They can have the innovative product. They can link to this industry can be linked to the academia, and they can get benefited. So that they can have the good products in the market. They can compete with the foreign players. Here you can have the school education. Government has proposed 100 Sainik schools in PP mode. Higher education, they have emphasized on that. I'm not going in details. Now, the 6 pillars they have talked about: minimum government and maximum governance. This is very good. Government is just backing on the front foot, talking about the reform. So, as they have already opened up this insurance sector for this, they have 74% to the foreign players. They are just talking about the transparency, talking about the faceless return. So the efficiency is very, very important. They are just supporting ease of doing business, one portal for registering your company. So one page registration form they have already proposed. So again, the digital sensors and all kinds of all the initiatives they are just supporting the MSME, and this will boost the MSME sector. So after having this means relief to the senior citizens, ITR, faceless, dispute redressal scheme. The MSME sector, they were just having means more of the challenges than the opportunities. Now government is means addressing all the challenges over there, all the issues related to MSME. One of the issues was the dispute in the tax system and all. So government has already come up with various types of Vivad to Biswap scheme and all, and GST simplification, relief in the dividend payment, tax audit, they have increased from 5 crore to 10 crore. Now, what would be the WASME's role in just fulfilling the MSME aspiration? This is very, very important. As World Association for Small and Medium Enterprises, we are the global organization headquartered at Noida, India. We are the facilitator for this MSMEs in all the 3 verticals of the business: like credit, technology, and the market. So these are very, very three pillars. I mean, we are just supporting in all way. So these are the four divisions of our organization. We are into the international, national, startup, and we have got the dedicated women wing. And these are the strengths of our organization, WASME, international organization. We have got the United Nations consultative and observer status. We are associated with intergovernmental and international organizations like WCO, OECD, ICSP, APAC, and others. Closely associated with the governments in the policy making and all. Means policy advocacy and all linkages with various SME association. We are the NABIT certified organization, and till date, 24 international conferences already been organized, more than 100 conferences in different countries also. Means very, very important means networking platform. We have got the entrepreneurial ecosystem, creating incubation. We are associated with various types of good universities like SPJ in Dubai, MIT, yeah, Symbiosis, and other universities. We are having the incubation. We are supporting all the SMEs, the micro one, with means the incubation, and so that they can have the technology-based product like 3D technology. They can have the prototype. They can means talked about. They can approach any manufacturer. They can get it done, and they can means have the market. We have got renowned advisory boards like Prabir is also there. Again, top universities, linkages, Lincoln, SPJN, and all, IIM, and well, we have got more than means 40 years of experience, presence in more than 100 countries.
Right.
I'm not going in details on these things. I will just been asking some questions to Prabir. And before that, what are the activities we are associated with? All the means policy advocacy. We are internet, international challenges, international cooperation, information dissemination. We have got newsletter, e-bulletin, and all. Skill development, research and development, and publication, training, and all. These are the highlights. We are just making this SMEs global peer on this. Any query you can ask me, and we will just start the conversation with Prabir. He is here. Hi, Prabir. Are you
Hi,
here? Yeah.
Mr. Agarwal, Dr. Sanjeev, Megha, and WASME team, all the participants today on a very auspicious day and eventful day, um, 1st February, presentation of the budget. So, yes, Sanjeev has given a very good overview of WASME as the three pillars for MSMEs. And he also knows that MSME has got a core standing now in the budget and in the country, and a lot of things are revolving around MSME. So, Sanjeev, if you have any way that you would like to carry on, then maybe we can chat, but what your audience may want.
Yes.
So, any specific question that you have?
Yeah, my one question is that MSMEs are the backbone of our economy, and government has already promised so many things in this budget. So, what in your way, and government has already proposed one thing that is called the Fintech hub. This is very, very important. Very, very important. Because the majority of the MSMEs, they have been already facing these issues for the payment gateway. And during this pandemic, they have struggled a lot. And one third of the MSMEs, they have already closed their shops over there. So this payment gateway is very, very important, and fintech, and you are the expertise in this fintech, so that you can just share your views on that.
See, I think you've touched a very important point. We are all in the MSME space, and I have been in the MSME space and been a serial entrepreneur for some decent amount of time, 3 companies so far. And I also am on the board or advising many other startups as also companies who are in the MSME space, mainly because of the definition of MSMEs in terms of turnover and paid up capital. But as Sanjeev said, that today, if WASME is the 3 pillars of MSME to support, help, aid, then the budget has got 6 pillars. So, as we all know, health is one of the pillars, manufacturing, agriculture, human capital, R&D, and governance. But at the same time, I find a lot of thrust in infrastructure. So I have added my own pillar of infrastructure as an additional pillar. And what is common to all the 6 or 7 pillars is that MSME can play a role in each one of them. MSME is core to each one of them. And uh, even if you take, therefore, MSME is core to how India is going to need to develop in the next year. Sanjeev has already shared the importance of MSMEs, like in terms of employment, value addition to GDP, value addition to manufacturing. Nearly 40% of manufacturing is in MSME, and also MSME contribution to exports. So, in my mind, MSME should be given the same status of an infrastructure sector, because we are the backbone of the 102 million people and 60, 70, 80, 100 million small, medium enterprises. If I add nano enterprises, gig economy, definitely it will be 100 million businesses that India has, and which is the only which touches every Indian. So MSME is an infrastructure sector because it cuts across services, manufacturing, exports, employment, and also infrastructure. So having said that, let us quickly understand why MSME should be like an infrastructure category or status. It's mainly because, see, even in the COVID times, as Sanjeev was saying, that the COVID budget has gone up to 65,000 crores. COVID production is about 35,000 crores. So the amount of emphasis on health itself, one of the pillars, is very clear. And who has come to the rescue of India during this health and pandemic crisis? It is the MSME sector. Why? Because from nearly zero production of ventilators, the annual production of ventilators in India pre-pandemic was 6,000. Today, over 100,000 ventilators production capacity has been built in this company, mainly within the MSME sector. Now, because the domestic market has become saturated, export markets are now being explored. That is number one. Number two, who has come to the rescue of India during PPE and all the medical textile boost? PPE kits and gloves and masks and gear, everything. MSME sector has gone from near zero to supplying whole of India and large parts of the world almost instantaneously. It was not other than China, and people didn't want to import from China for their own domestic economies for various geopolitical reasons. But then India came to the rescue, where people were keen to send planes to India to pick up the materials. So again, India to the rescue of the world. Vaccines. India is the vaccine hub of India, of the world today. Just like IT is the India is the IT hub of the world on the back of the Y2K crisis. Today, 20 years later, India has got another product, that is services. Now India has got product, vaccine production product capital of the world, almost overnight. 60% of the world's vaccines are coming from India as we go. And obviously, they are not necessarily MSME companies, but They were hitherto unknown companies, but they are definitely large companies. So it's clear that in the time of stress and distress, MSME sectors has definitely played a very human role in in trying to get the pandemic to come to an epidemic. So that is one. Secondly, as we all know, after the pandemic, there was a lot of shutdown and lockdown, which affected employment and services sector, smaller scale industries in manufacturing, textiles, plastics, computer products, accessories, peripherals. A lot of that got a hit. So a large amount of labor has to be absorbed back in those smaller industries to cater for the demand, whether it is mobile phone chargers, mobile phone accessories, components, auto components, textile components. All these are now going to be have to be produced within the MSME sector. Now coming to fintech and entrepreneurship. Now, as Sanjeev has very well articulated, now if a company does 95% of its payments through digital payments, then it is exempt from tax audit up to 10 crores. So this is a huge incentive for smaller companies, MSME sector, last mile payments to be also made digitized, in which case fintech plays a great part. So companies will want to avoid tax audit, and they might willingly move to 95% payments through digital, for which fintech will have to provide the solution at the last mile from the very largest companies to the most smallest companies. Secondly, the government has also created incentives about 1500 crores for encouraging and fostering innovation and awareness of digital payments in the country, which is again uh, post 2016. I think this is the next boost which is coming from the government side to encourage and incentivize people like you and me and small nano entrepreneurs, medium entrepreneurs, mini entrepreneurs, micro entrepreneurs to be aware of digital payments and shift to various format of various channels of digital payments. So that is why fintech is very important, and perhaps one of the reasons why fintech hub has been created, because without a fintech hub we will not be able to provide these solution sets to business and industry. Now, with this relaxation of some of the startup rules, some relaxation of NRI rules, which will allow NRIs to probably make investments in India, some relaxation in Companies Act that a one-person company can also be started with no paid up capital, no revenues, and they will have to have no compliance pressures and tax, etc. These are all flanking incentives for boosting not only fintech, I would say, but e-commerce and anything, all digital businesses, which will aid and support core brick and mortar businesses. So, therefore, fintech is very important. Just to give you a last example why fintech also will be important, we are fine now. Government is going to spend, government will give orders, government probably MSME should have a favorable be considered favorably for many orders. Now at the same time, MSMEs, as you all know, have a severe overdraft and working capital problem, that in the COVID times, that how do you meet immediate cash flows to make payments, etc. That is a big issue. So there also fintech plays a role, major role. Why? Because companies have with a full stack a digital payment solution, and I don't want to mention any particular company, but mainly B2B payment side, they will be able to offer buyers and suppliers both some facility for credit and dynamic automated discounting system, that is supplier credit, and even some buyer incentives that buyers can also get concession on the pricing if they park their funds on a platform, or suppliers can get short-term discounting, invoice discounting basis, short-term access to credit and to working capital, either from third-party credit providers or NBFCs. So this not only you're solving the payments issue, hygiene, transactional issues, day-to-day issues, but you're also lubricating the MSME sector by able to giving them credit, short-term access to working capital so that they can meet the mismatch between order and receivables and then their payments to suppliers. So this is actually an invisible link which is there, that you're discounting against possibly future orders, you're discounting against receivables, but it gives everybody an access to credit in a very quick period. So again, reducing dependency on the formal credit system or the informal money lender credit system, where you're borrowing from friends, families, money lenders at very high interest rates. You have order, you cannot fulfill, you cannot execute, bank is not giving you credit, you're already extended credit beyond, or you don't want to go to bank for credit because you don't want to take courage and debt and for your family and future generations. You have an access, a platform provided by fintech, B2B payments companies to come and exploit. And just like digital lending is there for retail customers to pay their bills, to buy things on e-commerce sites, similarly, facility is going to be made available to B2B, to MSME marketplace. So government is also creating a marketplace, as Sanjeev said. One is, he mentioned GEMS. There is also Bharat Mart. There is also Udan. These are all large B2B marketplaces for MSME, both buyers and sellers, suppliers and buyers, to optimize their business so that they don't have to run around. It's like a, think of it as an Alibaba for India or Amazon for buyers and sellers, a similar model. So this is again, the payments will then bolt on to these kind of platforms so that the day-to-day hygiene payments are taken care, day-to-day GST filing is taken care, day-to-day tax filing is taken care, day-to-day all your whatever minimal compliances you have, that is also taken care, and invoicing is taken care, but also your credit requirements are also somewhat taken care of. So it's an all-in-one kind of platform, which fintech is very key in this, and therefore probably fintech hub is there. So these are some of the quick takeaways that I have on MSME and fintech, and why both are needed by each other, so that as and when the economy picks up with government spending in roads, ports, highways, airports, railways, automobiles, when all these core engine drivers start going down the track and the economy is lifted, then slowly business at the lowest level will also be lifted. The rising tide will lift all the boats, small boats, dinghies to large cruisers. And that is where fintech will play a part. That is where MSMEs will get more orders from their principals, from other MSMEs, from industry, from government, and hopefully from overseas also, as we become good in doing some various things like automobiles, gems and jewelry, scrapping, etc. So as you know, that customs duties have been, increased in iron and steel, and steel, copper for scrap. Textiles also duty rationalization has taken place for nylon. Chemical also duty on naphtha has been, there has been changes. Gold and jewelry also duties are there, which are, to help the domestic industry. Solar lanterns and renewable sector, some amount of duties have gone up to protect ourselves from overseas imports, so that more incentive is there for domestic manufacturers in these areas where possibly we were importing fully earlier. Now with the import duty changes and some amount of import duty rationalization, hopefully domestic MSCs will pick up the lead and pick up the stick, and try to exploit that opportunity as they go along. And I think even in plastics and gems and auto parts, cotton also duties have gone up just to protect some of the domestic industries. Yes, there is a school of thought will say why you want to raise duties. Ultimately, it might affect you down the road because you will not be able to import your intermediate products, intermediate parts, intermediate components, raw material, and therefore you might pass it on to your consumer. But let us see. This is theoretically that is correct, but actually in practice, what happens only if the incentives are greater, then they will try to substitute and try to do the same thing in India, reduce and maybe even source the intermediate from India. But this is definitely an incentive and a boost for MSMEs to try and exploit some of these things. And as we all see that each of the pillars has a even governance has a MSME role in it, because the definition of small has changed now. From it has now gone up to I think the definition of that small is from 2 crores to 20 crores in terms of revenue, and paid up capital from 50 lakhs to 2 crores. And this definition change, and therefore administrative and governance change, will benefit immediately as of today 200,000 companies. So it's a mix. Each part of the pillar has a MSME role in it. MSME is involved with all of it. Therefore, MSME, I am propagating and proposing that MSME should be seen as a strategic infrastructure sector and should be given that status. Third, payments is important, therefore fintech is important, therefore startups are important, and that environment has also changed, hopefully, and hopefully that will encourage more investment coming in from domestic sources as also from overseas sources. So with these few points, I thought I should just kick off and just respond to Sanjeev's question, and I'll be happy to give a follow on this to Sanjeev and to others.
As Mr. Roy, you have already mentioned about, talked about various types of infrastructure, and that will also help this India's $5 trillion aspiration. That is very, very important. That. So this means as one of the pillar they have mentioned innovation and R&D, and they are just integrating the industry, academia, and the innovations and all. So this is very, very important part. And this new education policy has already focused on skill-based education. You have to have the skills so that you can compete in the market. As China has already given this education, the universities and all, research hub to the industry. So they are innovating their product in that their colleges and taking it to the market. This is very, very important. And India is also doing the same thing so that they can have the manufacturing hub here. Yes. What is your opinion on this?
Yeah, this skill development is something we have been talking for quite some time, over many budgets and many years. But I think this budget also has created another program for skill development and apprenticeship program. Hopefully, we will be able to up-train or cross-train a lot of people during who have lost their jobs in COVID, and probably use them as a good productive labor force. So skill development, apprenticeship programs, cross training, upskilling, reskilling is going to be very key as the infrastructure sector moves ahead, whether it is ports, textiles, textile parks, railways, automobiles, health sector, power sector. All these sectors have got enough boost today, so they will need manpower. Now, whatever manpower has been laid off, and whatever manpower is coming onto the labor force might be in excess of their actual requirement. But so they have to retrain them, and I think once you retrain them around new skill sets, whether it is new skill sets for intermediate production or new manufacturing of items in India which are earlier imported. Uh, this will probably give a great boost to employment and productivity, and to probably also raising the incomes, and therefore creating good aggregate demand in the system, so that people have a way out and do not remain unemployed, but have opportunities to train themselves and get employment and raise their incomes. So this is very important, because unlike the US and UK and Europe, where you're getting social security checks every month, directly in your account. In India, we are not doing that. So the only way is this approach is we are giving you capacity building skill sets. Human capital is that. Human capital is capacity building. So I can either catch a fish and give it to you every day, or I can teach you how to fish and you can catch a fish every day. This is the approach which is being taken, and it is probably the only way out, because we are not as wealthy or as rich in resources as some of the Western mature industrialist countries are, to give checks to businesses, to laid off people, to people not in workforce every month, month on month for years. We may not have that capacity. So this is the only way to build capacity, is to give them jobs instead, give them access to training, give them access to skill sets, give them access to apprenticeships. Only through that you will be able to raise their incomes, not for few years, but for their entire working lifetime.
Wonderful thought, Mr. Roy. Now, the floor is open for question answer. Megha, you can ask.
So we are moving towards the question answer round. I would like to request each and everyone, they can write their question in the inbox, and we can take up one by one. Any questions from the participants? After question answer round, we will move towards the vote of thanks session. So vote of thanks round. So anyone want to ask any question?
Yeah, can I talk here?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I am
Please,
Anand
please
Prakash
go ahead.
I am Anand Prakash from AG Tech company. I am a startup firm in agriculture technology. Okay, in AI solution. Now, how this budget can be helpful to us in new entrepreneurship, which are in the agri-tech solution. And one thing, if we are in startup firm, then how we can get a fund, how we can talk with organization, so that we have a such type of solution, and we want to integrate with the other things.
Thank you for your question, Anandji. So I would like to request our experts to answer this question.
And one
Sir,
question, because I also want to sorry sir, one question, I also want to employ some of the person.
Wonderful.
right. Great. So, Anand, this is a very good question actually. So, we need more people like you who want to know how to start up and how we can start employing people. So, I think this budget has recognized, as we all discussed, three things. One is small scale industries, second is entrepreneurship, third is fintech. Now, even if you look at the entrepreneurs, what is favorable, for example, few things they have done. Capital gains exemption is there for startups. Then, secondly, tax holiday is there. Second, thirdly is you can start a one-person company with zero paid up capital, zero revenues, and you're exempt from all compliances. Thirdly, the definition of NRI has changed. So from 180 days, it's come to 120 days. So hopefully that will encourage NRIs to, to invest in India and continue to retain their status. And fourthly is the amount of credit going to be available to MSE sectors from banks, NBFCs, government is going to be much more than previous years or previous year and previous years. So I think the amount the government is keeping aside nearly 550,000 crores of capital expenditure. That is a very large amount. That is a huge amount. So similarly, once that capital expenditure spend is going by the government, that will itself create more demand for products and for demand for services, which will give a boost to small scale sector actually. So in infrastructure itself, it's 500,000, and then if you add up health sector, textile parks, railway corridors, highways, uh, amount of money for power for state bodies, shipping, etc. You will find that there's a lot of opportunities um, for entrepreneurs to take the plunge and start getting their business plans together, because I think even banks and NBFCs will be positive when you go there for some loan or equity or working capital, mainly because they are seeing that the government is supporting this kind of spending and demand generation. So if the demand generation is there, then orders will be there. If orders are there, there is a business case. If business case is there, banks and financiers will be looking at you with different eyes. They will be favorable to you. So it's a good, I have been saying that even in the middle of COVID, that this is a good time for COVID to start entrepreneurship. So people who are saying, no, no, COVID ke baad karunga, I told them at that time in June that this is the time to start. By the time COVID ends, you should be already in production. You should already be having a defined marketplace. You should be ready, even if you don't have access to capital or you can't do much, you should have all your thinking ready so that you can start reaching out to financiers and markets and suppliers and even customers directly if required.
Agreed,
Uh,
Prabir. Agreed, Prabir.
Thank you
As
for
far
your
as,
thank you
yeah,
for
I
your
will just, just a mega. He was asking about the agri sector, I think. Yeah, his concern was in the agri sector. Government has already allocated, I think, double budget for this agriculture sector, and government has promised 1.5 times the MSP they are just talking about, whatever the market rate, and means plus 1.5 times. So
oh,
good boost to you people. And government has already shared so many schemes over there. You can directly go to the MSME site and you can
okay,
register yourself as MSME. So all the schemes they will provide you. You can get it through email. So this is a very good means, opportunity for you people.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any
Yeah,
other question?
I just want to add to what Sanjeev said, that I think this is an opportunity for WASME to start a agri-tech support or incubation center or incubation cell, or disseminate information on various agri-tech schemes available on by the government, so that people can decide what they want to do and either apply for some kind of license to do it or start a company on that. So probably this is an opportunity for WASME to encourage agri-tech entrepreneurs, to give them information and awareness of all schemes available for agri-tech. What are the opportunities? Where to go for funding, submission of business plan, submission of papers, etc. If they can play a role of a incubator or accelerator in agri-tech, I think it will be a big boost to agri-tech entrepreneurs in India, because to my mind, I'm not aware of any business association having specific focus on agri-tech incubation or acceleration. So I think this is, I myself have some ideas on tiller tech, on how to remove the crop after the crop is used, to pull out the roots and instead of burning. But I thought maybe this needs to be incubated under some association and seed funded, or funding can come from the members or a little bit from WASME government, and then we can exploit that.
Wonderful
Sir,
idea, Pradeep. Yeah,
uh,
we have already initiated EduTech and FinTech. Now we'll be focusing on this AgriTech. Thank you for your suggestion. Yeah. Any other question?
Sir, I have a question. Actually, we are from service class, and when I have go through all the budget, sir, there is nothing for the service class. This time again, we are, again we have got nothing from this budget actually. So, and as per my knowledge, the big contribution from the service class in direct tax, I think, right, sir? So, how you can say this budget is good for the service class?
That is a relevant question actually, because a large part of the GDP, 50% of GDP is driven by service sector, frankly speaking. That I know. Number one. Number two, a large part of employment in India is generated by the service sector. Number two, you cannot deny that. Number three, as you rightly said, a large part of the indirect tax is also coming from service sector. So it's a source of revenue for the government. And you may be right that what is there in the service sector. I have not studied the fine print of the budget in detail in terms of tax concessions, direct tax concessions, indirect GST rationalization, etc. But my assessment, just without really going through the fine print of the budget, which we have yet to get, it's only been a few hours, is that service sector will, once the capital spending is done by government and by private sector to some extent, that hopefully will generate demand and therefore generate demand also for services. So it's an indirect way, or what the economists call is derived demand for labor, derived demand for services, rather than directly having schemes and plans and programs for services uh, or administrative measures. They have tried to lift the boat, and in that, the service sector will hopefully also get lifted. So that's the thinking I am able to figure out on this. And if they can streamline and rationalize how to bring back service sector to pre-pandemic functioning or efficiency or labor employment, that itself will be a big boost, because a lot of people are employed by service sector, travel, hospitality, events, lifestyle. A lot of those jobs have gone. First is to get those jobs back, and that is service. So then service will get a boost. So it's a derived demand, as versus capital spending is going to create the demand for services in step two. So this is my very rational way of looking at it. But I'm sure in the days to come, maybe you should spend some time reading the papers and seeing if there's anything specific for services sector other than what I told you. But this could be one possible thought that they had in mind.
Yes, Pradeep. As far as service tax is concerned, government has not clearly talked about any kind of exemptions, although they have already given the next year in the 80C and 80D. So we have to just go through in details, as Praveen has rightly talked about. So then we can be able to figure out what kind of benefits, what kind of exemptions the government has already proposed in this budget. Any more query?
Yeah, this is Sanjeev Kapoor here.
Yes, Sanjeev.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are very much audible.
Yeah, I'm Sanjeev Kapoor here. I'm the president of Sports Council from GCCI, Delhi. So I just want to ask a question that what are the impacts of this budget on the sports sector? Because sports is always a neglected area in most of the budgets in the forthcoming years. So what is the impact? What are the special features of the budget for the sports industry per se? If anybody can enlighten me.
Yeah, Sanjeev, good to have you on the program. I thought it's the famous Sanjeev Kapoor, the chef. So I was.
No, if you recall that I was also in the first season of MasterChef I was also there as a
Correct.
contestant. I was also there.
Yes, yes. Now it sounds familiar because we all watch MasterChef. But I
That's
think this, I would like to again say that, listen, sports per se, I cannot comment on that because like that, I would, people from the event companies, entertainment companies are also asking what is in it
okay.
for us.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, the defense sector is asking, हमारे लिए क्या दिया गया है? Because
Ji,
there is no mention in the budget of defense. So
ji.
I am not saying that. So you and defense have the same kind of treatment, that both are very critical and crucial.
That's
And
right.
I think so. They have not neglected you. If they have neglected you, they have neglected defense. And I don't think both are the case. I think defense is, we all expected defense will get the maximum share, but they have not got. Sports,
Okay.
there is no mention, as you said, but I think they're all interlinked. If the economy does well, if the economy is buoyant, sentiments are good, if events come back, live events come back, live sports come back to India, then you will get definitely a boost, no doubt about it.
Ji,
So
ji.
you are a product of, see, if the economy is coming back out of pandemic into normal, then definitely sports and events and entertainment sector and outdoor sector, all these will have a huge positive impact. And for that matter, you can, you're not the only ones in Bombay where I am. Western Railway has stopped running trains for 10 months. And normally Bombay runs 1,000 trains a day on the
Right.
three. So you can imagine 10 million people are transported in Bombay every day, and for 10 months that amount of traffic has disappeared. So I think defense, sports, rail are like core sectors, and definitely the government will have not forgotten you. So you will have to look a little more deeper to find what is in your favor. But it, in a
Yeah,
one
let's
hour,
hope for the best.
yeah,
Let's dig
in a,
out the
yeah,
budget
dig it out.
highlights and the budget in more detailer form, and then probably we can get to know that what are the possible incentives they have given to the sports industry and the other. Okay, thank you
Absolutely.
very much. Anyhow, and
Thank
let's
you.
be in touch. Thank you very
Yes,
much for having me on
welcome.
the session. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Kapoor. Yeah, government has already focused or emphasized on the infrastructure. Sports is also related to that. So
Right.
they will be just boosting. So we need to just go through budget in detail so that we can
Okay.
have. Yeah,
Yeah, we will. We will. We will. Surely
yeah,
we will.
fine,
Surely.
fine.
Thank you very much and wish all of you a great evening. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
thank you. Any more questions? Yeah, Mega. Mega. Mega, your voice is not clear. Mega, your voice is not clear. Let me have the vote of thanks. Thank you, everybody, for your precious and valuable time for this budget. This is the wonderful involvement or initiative by the participants over there, and they have also asked valuable questions and all. And thank you, Mr. Roy, for being with us and addressed all the questions over there. Thank you, all the participants, for your valuable and
Can I proceed towards vote of thanks, sir?
already given. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
You were disconnected. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And here you can have the feedback form. You can give your valuable feedback. Thank you all.